I'd like to call to order the November 18th, 2021 special meeting of the LFUCG Ethics Commission. I think this is the first time that we've been back in person since the pandemic. Great to see everybody. First item on the agenda is AO 2021-03 for an update and approval. This was a request by Commissioner Albright, correct? Yes. Albright?
Yes.
I was not at the previous meeting, so would you like to lead the discussion?
Sure.
Just so we start, this was one of those ones that because it asked for Commissioner Albright to appear today, we had to get it out to her before the meeting. So it was signed by the acting chair, so it needs to be ratified by the Ethics Commission.
Okay, and am I correct that confidentiality is waived?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
So, just briefly recapping, you recall at our last meeting, I was acting as chair, and before us we had a request for an opinion concerning an employment issue that was within the division of, I think it's
Streets and Roads.
Streets and Roads, yeah. And so it basically related to issues with two brothers and their employment, and we talked about it. It was on Zoom, and we came to the conclusion basically that it is a violation of the Ethics Act the way it's they're currently employed, and Evan took the lead obviously in drafting the opinion here, which I executed consistent with our discussion during the meeting. And as part of that opinion, we asked the commissioner to return to us tonight and describe what efforts have been undertaken with respect to resolving this issue in an attempt to basically not uproot anybody the best we can, but also adhere to the Ethics Act.
Commissioner Albright, would you like to discuss what has been done?
Sure. In the simplest terms, Mr. Sam Clark has been reassigned to a different crew. We swapped two gentlemen that have similar job duties and similar job titles. So they've worked for different operations managers, which I believe is what Ernie's title is, and we just switched those two individuals. So both doing concrete work. So it's relatively easy to make the transition. And so as of late October, Sam Clark works for a gentleman named Kevin Dennis, who is Ernie's kind of companion manager in Streets and Roads.
Very good, thank you.
I have the organizational chart that was provided the last time if anybody wanted to see how it was broken down and see how Kevin Dennis has whole different crews under him than Ernie Clark does. If anybody wants to see it. It doesn't matter. Figuring, in case you want some excellent physical documents to look at.
I appreciate the Ethics Commission taking the issue up, so.
You're quite welcome.
Certainly. I mean, I think that this really is the way it's supposed to work, kind of, There was a question that came up, maybe, if we can avoid it altogether, obviously that's ideal, but if it comes up, then you come here and we kind of talk about it, and then you take it back and you took care of it, and it seems like that's kind of how this is supposed to go, so, thank you.
You're welcome.
So is it my understanding that we need to reaffirm the opinion that was previously issued?
With one amendment, if someone doesn't mind making it, to be appear at the November 18th meeting, not the November 4th meeting, because as you know, we didn't get quorum for November 4th, so just so the record's clear that it shows that it's here for today, not for the 4th. So if somebody would please make a motion to as amended, that would be great.
I would entertain such a motion.
I'll make a motion to ratify it with the amendment.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The opinion is finalized. Thank you.
I'll send you an amended one.
All right, thank you. So I'm free to go now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Y'all have a good meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm looking at this. Is this showing?
This
is the
that's
old-
showing as it was when she.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I'm sorry.
that was
Wait a minute.
I should have explained that. No, she mentioned he's under Kevin Dennis, which is as you can see in the little spreadsheet, is not under.
Got it.
Is it a different tier?
He's
no,
on a branch.
This is the before.
That was what we received with the
Understood. Sorry about
advisory
that.
opinion.
Okay, next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. For those of you who were present, any comments or questions? Or changes or additions?
I didn't see any, so.
I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
So
So-
moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And thanks for putting together the minutes.
No problem.
Discussion of amending the Ethics Act. This is something that I was thinking about over the last several months. It had been some time since we had, I think, proposed any suggestions or reviewed the Ethics Act to think of any suggestions to make to the LFUCG. I am not suggesting that we necessarily do anything today, but I do think that's something that we should independently be working towards and looking at. And I don't know if the Open Meetings Act would allow sort of work groups. I might ask Evan to advise us on that. Might be a surprise assignment to him.
Yes, no.
But I think that something like a working group would be helpful, because I think something like this really invites discussion. But I also want to be, consistent with the Open Meetings Act. So again, not something necessarily to address today, though we have it in our packet, but something that I think that we should think about.
And were you thinking of smaller groups, or the whole commission coming together as a working group?
I think whatever makes the most sense to be the most productive. We do have a small enough group that we would have enough people together to meet, but that might make a quorum, which may require then compliance with the Open Meetings Act.
Mm-hmm.
That's my impression.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, be thinking also of suggestions that you may have as to how procedurally it makes the most sense to proceed.
Abby, oh, sorry.
What's the process for amending? Like, we make recommendations to the council?
Yes, the council would make any amendments, so it would be bringing the recommendations forward to the council, work session or a potential committee meeting, depending on what the council wants to do. Probably involve the chair making the presentation.
And it may well be the case that we review it and say, we're fine with it as it is. That's a possibility too.
I think it makes sense, definitely. And I'm part of me, it's kind of sad, but I think that if we suggested that we had a meeting, that probably we wouldn't get more than 4 people show up to talk about it at any given time. Or maybe we could try to limit it to 4 people and have a rotating. I think maybe a 4-person crew at any given time is sufficient, and probably enough to really get some movement on something. But not that it's good to limit it, but I don't know that it would be bad to do it that way. And maybe, I don't know, I would say try to get together maybe, or to do it as, I don't know about a Zoom, but something like that makes perfect sense to me.
Okay.
You just want to avoid less than quorum meetings that
Yeah,
together
require-
would make a quorum.
and it's at the high school?
Yeah, 5 is quorum.
So groups of 4, as you suggest.
Well, unless you have so many groups of 4 that ends up being, you're avoiding quorum for the purposes. But,
Yeah.
so
So-
we can talk about this.
Yes.
Yeah, we can talk about this in more length, when more detail comes, if we get some more detail on what the plan is, and whether or
Yes.
not it's a whole meeting or a.
And to be clear, I'm not trying to avoid the
No, of course
Open
not.
Meetings Act. What I'm trying to do is make it a useful working group, so that, if 3 people are sitting down hashing through 2 hours worth of looking at the Ethics Act, that everybody else doesn't have to be there, whereas they can. You see what I'm saying? So, like I said, I just want to be consistent with the act. Lexington Public Library update.
At the last meeting, the presented ethics, or the library had provided their amended Ethics Act for the Ethics Commission's approval. The Ethics Commission suggested a few changes to be made, and they sent back the changes that are, it's in the packet, and those, my reading conforms to the changes that we requested, so the next step would be to inform the library from the Ethics Commission of that fact.
Would you want us to have a motion to that effect to authorize you to do so?
That would be good.
Could I have such a motion or I would entertain such a motion that Evan be authorized to communicate with the library our acceptance of their revisions?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
This all comes from the kind of recent amendments a few years ago about special purpose government entities must have the at least a stringent ethics code. So it was really comparing the Ethics Act to what they had to make the determination. But I think I explained that all last time for all those people who weren't here
Perfect.
last meeting.
Next on the agenda item, number 5, the ethics tip line report.
We have the last few months here. I didn't see anything related to as the case manager being the Ethics Commission. As you can see, we went through, closed quite a few, especially in October. But as I say, it's ethics. The ethics tip line includes more than just Ethics Act violations. So, but you're one of the commissions that can see the reports. So,
Very good.
the report's right here. I'll let you know if something happens with that pertains to the Ethics Commission.
Thank you for that update. Last on our agenda, discussion of the 2022 Ethics Commission meeting dates.
Yeah, this is just ongoing. It's just always the first Thursday of the second month of every quarter. So unless somebody has any problems or suggestions of other dates, that's just what it will be going forward. I just wanted to bring that up in case, I try to bring it up at the end of every year in case somebody feels that this commission as it is doesn't like the first Thursday of the second month of every quarter.
I don't have a problem with it. Does anybody
I
else?
love that day.
Okay, very good.
Let me look at my calendar.
Block out 5:30 every, what was it, first Thursday of the second month of each quarter.
Yeah, which will be February 3rd, 2022, March 5th, 2022, August 4th, 2022, and November 3rd, 2022. It's on that
Which
first
I am
page.
sure that we will get an email to remind us
Got
so
it.
we
Oh,
don't
yes.
have to write
No.
those down.
We
Very
have
good.
many emails.
Perfect.
For the record, for anybody watching.
Yes. Well, that is the extent of the agenda of our special meeting, so I will entertain a
Oh, wait, I was supposed to, sorry.
Yes.
All FISs got turned in, so we're good on that front.
Good.
But Abby wanted me to just ask, we're having an issue with, candidates who are running for office. They're turning in their 2020, FIS statements, and then they have to fill one out for 2021 too. And she was wondering if there was some way we could prevent that from happening, because then they kind of have to fill out two
Two.
instead of just one, or I don't know if that's something that can happen.
Because they have to fill it out within 60 days or whatever the amount of time is.
Yeah.
And so if they filed it early, they just file it when they filed for candidacy.
Okay.
Is that what they're doing?
Yeah.
Well, I think otherwise, unfortunately, we probably have to make a change to the ethics code.
Yeah, I think, I mean, if there's a way that they could hold, I would say, the way it's currently written is the way that it should go, and any change would need Ethics Act change amendment too.
Okay.
But if I remember right, there's a certain amount of days that you can file it by after filing. I guess theoretically it could be that you wait. You just wait till the end of the year and then file, or the beginning of next year and then file that one
Yeah.
potentially.
that could be one of the things that we would look at as part of the Ethics Act, and say the timing, particularly in an election year,
Yeah.
how that's affected.
But I can follow up with Patty.
Okay, sounds good.
Any other special business? I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.